Welcome anomalies and normal people who haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and to become an anomaly. Five Nights at Freddy's is a pretty big gaming franchise and it's pretty obvious that at some point I would have to tackle this giant behemoth of an object. And I decided, since the film is in development hell, why don't I make my own film, or trilogy of films. And I also decided that I don't have any money, so I can't actually make a film. But what I can do is I can make concepts for films, so if you enjoy Five Nights at Freddy's, definitely stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to be talking about a trilogy of films that I have the idea for. Just a basic FNAF trilogy. And yet of course, I know this is annoying, but I really want to hit 2,000 subscribers at some point in the future, so subscribe, make sure you hit that bell, and the film would be called FNAF, or Five Nights at Freddy's. Mike is a simple 17-year-old and is hired by his local Fazbear pizzeria as a security guard. Yay! You would obviously get some exposition and the film would begin, and we'd want to really connect with Mike because he will be a pretty cool kid. He talks to his friends, especially this guy called Bishop, who actually got him the job, and, you know, they keep saying like, oh my god, I've heard so many horror stories about this place, you shouldn't go there. But he's fearless, and so he just says, I don't really care. So on night one, it's pretty simple. Mike is fearless and kind of messes around with the animatronics. They don't do anything on night one. He even tries to wheel one out and bring it out, but he realizes it's really heavy, like 300 kilograms at least. All of his friends hear about that he's actually got the job at the restaurant, and they really want to come over and hang out in the middle of the night and, you know, do spooky stuff like tell ghost stories and record something for YouTube or something like that. So on night two, they all hang out and have a great time, except one of the animatronics move, but everyone kind of plays it off and they blame it on one of the friends that must have moved it, but Mike is a little bit off because he knows how heavy those things are, and you can't just move one. On night 3, Mike is alone because all of his friends have other things to do at the moment. This time, the animatronics actually try and kill him, and this would be a really dangerous kind of night. I want there to be this kind of feeling of this constant fear, and since it's Five Nights at Freddy's 1, there's a power, so he has to close the doors, keep on the lights, and do all this stuff. Because it's his first night, and he's really, really scared, and he stopped taking phone guy's calls, he runs out of power, and Freddy appears by his door. But just before he's eaten, the sun rises, and the animatronics freeze. That's kind of a way of explaining away how you can get out at, 6 AM, because really, the animatronics should kill you as soon as you're trying to leave, but I guess not. I guess at 6 AM they stop being evil, so I guess you could represent it as the sun coming up turns them off, maybe. I don't know. Of course, Mike tells his friends, and they completely don't believe him. So, on night 4, they will come back to the restaurant to prove to him, hey look, there's nothing there, no one's evil, except something happens and one of them dies. Mike is terrified, obviously, but it's all kind of covered up in this secret attempt, and he gets really suspicious, and he decides to get revenge and go back to the restaurant on night 5 and burn it to the ground. And one of his friends come with him, Bishop. However, Bishop betrays them. Why? Because he's the purple guy. He brought all the other friends there to kill them all. They've seen too much, and he has to stop them with his plan. So he locks them inside of the Fazbear's Pizza, and one by one they're picked off by different animatronics until eventually the sun rises and Mike is the only one left alive. Bishop called the police and framed Mike for the murder of both his friends and the children that were inside of the suits, as he's wearing the same security guard as the purple guy was. Ending the film with Mike being sent to prison, and the purple guy being free. The second film will be called FNAF Reopened, and this is where a bunch of fans will probably get angry at me and blah 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 blah. This takes place in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, but Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is supposed to be a prequel, but it's not a prequel, okay? In this movie franchise, I'm just trying to simplify it for people who actually want to watch the films and not play the games and not look at online third-party things to even understand it, right? So, FNAF is being reopened. This has happened 2 years after the first Five Nights at Freddy's. Mike is released from prison 2 years later due to the lack of evidence, as there isn't actually any conclusive proof that he killed his friends. He was just at the scene of the crime, and he had a similar description to the killer, but he had no motive, and so they eventually let him go. Now kind of shunned from his family, Mike has almost nowhere to go. He's got no money, and he finds out about Freddy's reopening. So he signs in under a brand new fake name, Jeremy, and tries to catch Bishop in the act, as he knows that he's going to try and do something similar that he did in the first restaurant. So this film will be more survival based. He will try and survive throughout this massive area. Let's just make the second area a lot bigger. It's connected to a store warehouse kind of area. So it'd be more of a survival movie than night 1, night 2, night 3, night 4, night 5 kind of thing. Mike then realizes that the animatronics are actually possessed, as he can kind of look into their lives and how they died and realize how many kids this guy's killed. And they eventually team up. All the animatronics and him team up, and there's this big moment where they find the purple guy and they finally trap him and put him in a spring lock suit, which of course malfunctions and kills him. The souls are released, letting the robots return to normal, but Mike yet again is arrested, this time for the murder of William Afton. He even admits to the murder, so he's fully sentenced to 30 years in prison. The third film, I'm not 100% sure on the title. I put in Five Nights at Freddy's The Attraction because it's Fazbear Frights, but it could be Five Nights at Frights or Five Nights at Fazbear Frights, or it could be Five Nights The Ending, Five Nights The Final Chapter, I don't know. It could be either of those. But it's Five Nights at Freddy's The Attraction. It's been 30 years, and Mike is finally released from prison, making him 50. But of course, as soon as he is released from prison, he realizes that Freddy Fazbear is returning with Freddy Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction. He then hears about a strange golden rabbit that will be on display, and how 3 people have gone mysteriously missing. But it's considered to be a rumor and not actually true, just to get people to go there to see what it's all about. But Mike obviously believes this and goes, holy shit, he's still alive. I mean, he knows that souls can inhabit these robots, so he heads off to try and fight and kill Springtrap for good. He gets hired at Fazbear Frights, and the movie would be more of like a one-on-one. It wouldn't be so much horror-based, more than horror action. Mike would be doing everything in his power to try and kill Springtrap, while Springtrap is trying to get his revenge and kill Mike before passing away. At the end of the film, Mike stands above Springtrap, and a callback to the first film, probably where he would say it at some point when he betrays them, "You called me a pawn? Well, pawn to Bishop." And then he burns the place to the ground, lighting the gasoline in the area on fire and burning them both to death, killing them all. Except that's not quite how the story ends. Mike is dead. He burned alive in the actual place, but as the building is on fire and the firefighters are heading off downwards, we zoom out to see a person, a bit young, maybe 31, 32, standing in front of the fire, looking down at it and saying, "Rest well, Dad," before turning around, allowing us to see him in the light. He's wearing a purple uniform, but with a slight pink tint. He walks off into the distance, and we are left to be thinking, wait a second, there's more than one purple guy? So the obvious inspiration for the trilogy is to leave the trilogy open-ended, because if you leave trilogy open-ended, you can make more movie and you can make more money. Oh yes, money, money, money. So let me just go really quickly through all of the films and how I came about thinking about them. FNAF 1 was pretty easy. You just had to introduce the character concepts and, purple guy is evil. He killed children and he stuffed them inside suits. Bad guy, no. FNAF 2 should be a sequel technically because of the chronological order, but then again, was it ever really proved it was a sequel? I don't care. It's a sequel, just to make it easier on the viewers of the movies, because going back and looking at a prequel is not as interesting as looking at a sequel. And Five Nights at Freddy's 3 would just be the big turnaround. Eventually, he would kill Springtrap and end the violent saga of the Purple Man, but now we've got Afton's son, because he's technically in the films. So what would come after the trilogy if they decided to make more films? I'd say a FNAF sister location was definitely in order, but I was thinking, you can't really make FNAF 4 a film, kind of, unless you made the cutscenes into the film, so the film ends with the kid dying, and that's Afton's son, but is it out? I'm really confused. I used to theorize about this kind of stuff all the time, and yet I'm still super confused on the actual timeline of Five Nights at Freddy's. So what would come after the trilogy, I have no idea, but there would be definitely a different saga. If you're wondering how he had a kid, he most probably had a kid right before he got arrested or killed, and in my mind, in my head canon, basically the kid found him before anyone else did and was talking to him through these whole 20 years, making him turn into the purple guy, so that the kid then becomes a killer and starts killing people just like before, and then we could go into the books or something. I don't know. If you like this, please subscribe. I got a copyright strike recently, and I know that technically doesn't make less people subscribe, but it's scary. It's scary that I got a copyright strike for something that I was trying to do, which was obviously fair use, but it's fine, because it's not fine, because they're assholes. Asshole bitch ass. Never gonna react to anime again. Anime sucks. Anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Please subscribe. I really would enjoy it. I really would appreciate it. Please. Please. Bro. Please.